Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to our first F1 Manager 23 video. Today we're gonna be playing F1 Manager 23 for the first time, of course. And this is a brand new part of the game, which is called Scenarios, if I remember correctly. Where basically you have to go through a real life race scenario. And we're starting off with Fernando Alonso around Monaco. And we're gonna try and actually win the race for him. For the people who remember, of course, Monaco, where it started raining late on. Alonso on the hards, Verstappen on the mediums. And you basically need to move on to the intermediates in the right lap. So you can gain loads of time to Max, will extend his stint on the mediums and on very worn mediums. As we move to Alonso now, you can see he is, I think, over 10 seconds behind, if I remember correctly. We're obviously straight away gonna move to the intermediates there. And quick little thing I noticed as well, if you select that strategy, or you tell in the strategy screen to move to another tire, you can select the lap they have to box on. And we're obviously going to be boxing now because it is, as it is getting really wet. Now you can hear as well new radio messages, a lot more variety, a lot more different ones. So a lot of radio messages have been added to add some more realism onto the intermediates we go.
So you should be clear on exits,
And as you can see there, Max still on old mediums. Now, it is getting wet really fast. On the older F1 Manager game, the inters were faster when the track wetness hit 1 millimeter, which it's about to hit now. And obviously, we're gonna push to go for the undercut. Now, brand new onboard here. You've got visor cam, so you can go onboard with the driver, like in real life. They've added this, I think, 1 or 2 years ago. So a cool little addition there. And we are pushing it to go for the undercut on Max, of course, pushing everything flat out. You can see Lance, just like in real life, went. Oh my god, it's loud. Visor cam in the tunnel is very loud, but you can see there Lance on the inters, and he's overheating like crazy. And this is another new addition where you really have to keep your tires in the right temperature window. Now, Lance is overheating like crazy, and it means you're going to be losing so much lap time as Fernando sent it down the inside of that car there. That was a lap down. So, Max into the box, and we are obviously going to undercut him. He is just exiting the pits, and we're going to be like 3 seconds ahead, I think so. So we're going to stop pushing and save our tires for later on, you know. Same with fuel, even though we can keep pushing it a little bit more. It is probably smarter to, you know, wait a bit and use that later on. So you can see Lance's tires are still overheating, 104 degrees. Every tire compound as well has a different window, of course. The wet and intermediate tires have got a much lower working window than the slicks, obviously. So that's much softer rubber. And see, driver confidence. I actually can't speak. It's so loud in that tunnel in visor cam. But you can see that driver confidence. And I assume the higher it is, the faster they go. I think a lot of it has to deal with practice programs as well, where you have to get the track acclimatization right, the car part knowledge, and the setup. So that might have a big influence on pace and also how likely the drivers are to make a mistake. Now, Max has caught up to us with like 17 laps to go. And yeah, I had to stop pushing on the tires a little bit because they were starting to overheat. I think at 80 degrees they start to overheat. But yeah, we were closing in on that, and I just had to be a little bit careful. Now, once I noticed Max was overtaking us, I went fully aggressive again, just to keep track position. But that Red Bull is a little bit fast, and this is something I just
So
noticed
keep going.
you can change
It's clear
the
behind.
aggression of overtakes and defending. So that's very interesting. And I think the more aggressive you go, the more likely you are to be in an incident. You can see overtake fails right there. We're gonna keep pushing and use that ERS to try and go for a move again. But we probably played it a little bit too cautious with the defending. I think we could have gone a lot more aggressive. And yeah, of course in F1 Manager and in F1 in general, everything is a bit of a balancing act. And I didn't notice that you can change the overtake and defense aggression until then. So that's something handy to know. Of course, if you're on Monaco, you're gonna go maximum aggression on defending, even though it might result in an incident. I'm not sure. As Nando is having a little look down the inside, but yeah, we're running a little bit out of ERS here to go for a proper move. So we might have to, once we run out of battery and still have not made a move, just see if we can maybe attack later on in the race. So yeah, at the moment, of course, our Red Bull is faster with Max in it, and it looks like it's gonna stay wet the entire race. So we got a good run here,
Low battery.
but we can't pull anything off just yet. Now, if we of course finish second, we will fail the scenario. So we just need to do everything possible to win the scenario. So we got that done and finish over it. I reckon there are going to be obviously a lot of scenarios in the full game, as there's actually a red flag, which was not in real life, unless
Take a look at the replay.
I've got a massive brain
Now,
fade.
this
But
was in Casino Square. Just flies into that crash. That will have knocked their confidence, I'm sure. The team glued to the monitors and watching their hopes crumble away.
so the scenario has changed a little bit, and suddenly it's completely changed. And this screen I skipped a bit too fast through, because in the top right you can see it's still 2 mm of rain, but in that screen you saw that just popped up, it said it was going to be dry at the start or at the restart of the race, which I didn't see. So I was like, you know what, we're just going to bolt on a new set of inters and go for it, because I thought it was going to be wet. But in a second, when we line up on the grid, we're going to find out the hard way that it's completely dry. So yeah, small miscommunication, but it does say it's gonna rain in 1 minute. But as you can see, our page on the inters at the restart here is not very much ideal. As Fernando almost shunted there.
Use your energy. Copy.
And yeah, this is not ideal. I've completely choked it because I read through that first screen too fast. We've got a limited amount of time to record stuff, so I have to kind of get a move on with it. And I just read through it a little bit too fast. Pressed through it a little bit too fast, I should say. And yeah, no, we've definitely failed the scenario, so that's not ideal. But yeah, a P16, P17 it is for Nando and Lance. They almost got lapped in the end. That is a lesson for next time, I guess, as Lance yeets his headrest out. But yeah, as you can see there, challenge failed. We're gonna try it again when we've got the full game, of course, so we can actually complete the challenge. But on to career mode we go now then. We basically get placed mid-season in the Merc, just like everyone else, I think so, that was to be able to play this game early. And as you can see there is wear on aero components. So, of course, in real life, underfloors wear out throughout the race, they can hit curbs, get damaged, etc. But you actually have to keep an eye on them, because you will lose a lot of performance if you don't repair them or replace them. So that's something to keep in mind for your future F1 manager career. Because yeah, otherwise you just start losing performance. And of course, you can change the lifespan as well. However, if you do add lifespan, you will increase the weight of the car. So again, bit of a balancing act there. If you decrease the lifespan, you're of course gonna have to replace it sooner, which then goes against the cost cap again. So if you put the lifespan to minimum, I expect you're gonna be in trouble with the cost cap at the end of the season. So yeah, it's a balancing act. Of course, we're gonna go minimum lifespan because we can only do one race anyway. And we want maximum performance, even though this car part won't have any effect on our next race because it will take too long to complete, of course. But yeah, you can see there in the middle, design focus. You can put the minimum lifespan up, but then there's like 5 kilos of extra weight, and that's not what we want. We want performance. Now, on the design stuff itself, not much has changed. As yeah, you can on the approach still go on intense. However, that will be for the underfloor, for example, be $3 million more expensive. Again, will hurt the cost cap if you get close to it, of course, and you might get a reprimand or something like that if you go over it. So yeah, it's just the minimum lifespan that has changed on the designs of car parts. Now you can see their sporting director has been added to the staff, so that's interesting, and a little addition to the new F1 Manager game. Now I'm not sure, of course, what exactly the sporting director does in terms of in the game, what addition it gives you or what advantages it gives you by having a good sporting director. But yeah, we will see that in the full game. I didn't go too much into that. On the development facilities, nothing has changed. It's still all the same. However, I saw this unacceptable part where the helipad was in poor condition, so I decided to instantly upgrade it because that's unacceptable. Now, I'm not sure if this part was in the game last year, but there's now a regulations overview on what is going to change from one year to the other on the technical side, financial side, and the sporting side. And it looks like on the financial and sporting side nothing is changing, but as you can see on the technical side, there were some changes coming. So this way you can always keep track of that. I don't think it was in the game last year. Let me know if you guys know if it was in the game last year. I don't think it was, but I thought I would put a little bit of attention to that. Now, new parts of the game. You can put a training schedule for your pit crew, and basically you can make them completely customize their training, and it can help you get fast pit stops, but it can also help you to decrease the chance of a mistake. And of course, if you focus on certain things or you put them through a lot of training, it will give advantage in some ways. I think if you put them through a lot of training, the estimated pit stop time will go down. However, the chance of a mistake will go up. So again, you can balance the pit stop practice out more or less. You can literally plan it for the entire month, basically, and completely customize it. Now with that, you can also see all the pit stops from the entire year, basically. And you can see there, I think the sporting director might have an influence on the pit stop side of things, but you can see that the average pit stops of every single team, and there's even a little championship for it in the game throughout the year. So if you have the fastest pit stop in every race, you're obviously going to win the pit stop championship, basically.
Welcome, and come on in to the home of British motor racing. It's Silverstone, where the Formula One World Championship began back in 1950. And this historic high-speed track remains a challenge for our drivers' courage and determination to this very day. Silverstone is a power circuit. It demands downforce and total confidence in the car for a driver to keep their foot planted through Sector 2, through the high-speed corners at Woodcote and at Copse, and carrying on through Maggots and Beckett's.
Red Bull have outscored their rivals to be at the top of the constructors' table right now. But as round 11 progresses, The fight for the championship is still underway.
Now onto the race we go then. As you can see there, they've changed, I think, the bonuses you got last year for your driver performing better if your track acclimatization, setup satisfaction and car part knowledge were better. And now it's just like a bar that goes to 100% for driver preparation. Now I reckon your driver would obviously do better if you're fully prepared. On the setup screen, nothing much has changed. So I'm gonna manage practice 1 and just see if anything has changed on that part. Of course you can see the driver preparation, which we need to try and get to 100%. Which of course is going to be tough because, as I said, I've got limited time and I might have to fast forward through some things. But one new interesting thing that I also talked about in that scenario we did around Monaco is the tire temperature, and this is going to be a big important thing to keep an eye on. So
radio's loud and clear, Lewis.
I was just waiting for them to finish their radio sequence. But in the top right you can see the ambient temperature, and if it is on a higher side, then obviously your tires are going to be overheating faster, and if your tires overheat, you are losing a lot of performance, which I will show in a second. Right now they're too cold. You can see they are only 80 degrees, and it just works like in real life. A softer compound has a lower working range, so they're up to temperature earlier, they get up to temperature earlier and faster. However, they also overheat faster, so your strategy is going to be massively influenced by track temperature and ambient temperature. So you can see the surface temperature there, and then in the middle you get a bar, which is the core temperature. Now I think the core temperature is the main one you need to keep an eye on. Brake temperature, I think you can influence it a lot by lift and coast. Just like in real life, if you lift off, you're obviously gonna get slowed down by the air resistance instead of actually slowing down by hitting the brakes, and that helps cool the brakes a little bit as well, of course. So first lap here, you can see tires are up to optimum temperature. I think from 90 degrees this set of tires is up to temperature, which is the C3 on Silverstone, and I think every compound has a 5-degree step. So if you go to the hardest compound around here, they're up to temperature at 100 degrees. However, they only overheat at like 140, I think so, or 135. I'm not exactly sure. But as you can see there, I moved on a little bit, and they're overheating quite badly, as the track temperature is 56 degrees. So it makes sense that the soft tires are overheating. You can see there, the second they started overheating, George lost 7 tenths from lap 8 to 9 and another 7 tenths from lap 9 to 10. So you lose a crazy amount of lap time if you overheat your tires, and it's really something you have to keep an eye on. Now of course track rubber has an influence on strategy as well. When there's low track rubber you need softer tires, and when there's high track rubber the harder tires will work better basically. Now as I said before, nothing much has changed on the setup screen. It's still fairly basic, and yeah, you just need to basically get 100% so your driver preparation goes up as well. And I just fast forwarded a little bit through free practice, and you can see we're not going to be completely prepared. Track acclimatization wanted 100%, but that's okay. It's not our own career mode anyway. But you can see there are a few penalties. I reckon engine penalties for the upcoming race. We got driver preparation up to 96% for both cars. So that is good. And I'm not sure, I think that's driver confidence. I'm not sure how you can get it further up than that. And on to qualifying. Again, I don't have enough time to do qualifying, so I'm just going to simulate qualifying. It is going to be heavy rain. I'm just going to simulate through every single Q1, 2, 3 session. And then we can move on to the race a little bit faster. So easily made it into Q2 there. Onto Q2. And that one is going to be dry. So again, made it easily through P4 and P6. Q3, let's see if he can pull out a cheeky pole position maybe. Probably not. It's P4 and P6. However, of course, Charles and Carlos both penalties. and that will move us up the grid. So Aston already pretty fast in this F1 Manager game, so they have done that well, that Aston is up there already. And yeah, I did a little bit of fuel again. Not much has changed here from what I can see. I didn't go into the strategy screen and see what the faster strategy would be. I just decided, you know what, we're gonna put on the hards and we will see how it goes. As you can see there, quite a bit of drivers on mediums and softs. It looks like we're the only one on hards. So we might have absolutely butchered the strategy already. But we will see how it goes. It is hot though. You can see track temperature 57 degrees. And that should help us with our hards tires, because they overheat less fast, of course. However, the track rubber is very low. And in the bottom left you can see George has a worn component, and I think that's engine component. So he might be a little bit down on engine power actually, and that's not ideal. But let's see how our hards will do in these hot conditions, even though the track rubber is low, which usually hurts the harder compounds a little bit more. As Sergio on the softs gets past, we're gonna try and hold on here a little bit. You can see I think like 60% of the grid on softs, and then 30% on the mediums, and then it's us on the hards. So yeah, let's see how our strategy is gonna pan out. Thus far, we are losing a lot of time to Sergio, who is in P3, and we're not close to overheating yet. Of course, you can see they're fairly well balanced. I think it's 135 degrees for the C1 tire before they start overheating, and yeah, we still got some margin. However, it is really hot, so expect those people on the softs to really be struggling and really drop pace, because yeah, they're gonna be massively overheating with 57 degree track temperature, I assume. However, it is the hardest compounds available, or not the hardest anymore, because these days we've got C0 compound as well, which I reckon is only going to be used in Suzuka. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and see for that. But you can see we're already 6 seconds behind the leader. So our hard strategy is not working very well at the moment. I hope we start gaining a bit of pace, because we are losing a crazy amount of time. 2 laps done, and we've lost 3.5 seconds on average per lap. You can see the last lap 32.2 in clear air, and the leaders are going almost 4 seconds per lap faster. 3.5, let's say 3.5. But yeah, not ideal. Ocon got past there, and we are starting to overheat with Hamilton, and it's actually 130 degrees already. So the gaps between the tire compounds might be slightly lower than I expected. The tire temperature gaps. Oh, sorry, it's actually 138 degrees. That's my bad. So it is 135 degrees when they start overheating. And I'm not sure why Hamilton is overheating so much more than Russell. It might be because George was in clean air and Hamilton wasn't. I'm not sure if that has a big influence. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens with Lewis, his tire temperatures. We have been pushing Russell actually a little bit, and we've been cooling down Lewis's tires, so we have a bit of margin on that. We've got Leclerc in P7, and yeah, it's very close. From P5 to P19, it's just a train basically. But I noticed the soft runners are not really dropping pace, even though they got 40% more tire wear. So first of all, they didn't really struggle with overheating, and then they also kept really high pace. You can still see Perez and Verstappen are over a second faster, even though their tires are completely worn out. Alonso is boxed, and he's come out ahead of us. So we've lost more than a pit stop by starting on hards. So this strategy has not quite worked as well, and it could be mainly down to the track rubber being low. Track temperature has gone 10 degrees down as well compared to the start, so maybe that helped them a little bit. But yeah, we are going to be boxing soon because the tire wear is on 27%, 26%. And as you can see there, Lewis, his tire wear jumped to 0%. And that basically means he has a puncture. So we're going to be putting him onto the mediums. I didn't expect the tires to explode so early on already.
Box.
And yeah, we're gonna be losing quite a bit of time here. Rear left has gone to Narnia. However, Lewis has had a massive gap to George. And it might have to do with George having to run an older engine component. So, yeah, not ideal. Let's keep it that way. And we're boxing both cars at the same time. So George doesn't get a puncture as well. But yeah, I thought we could run them a little bit farther. Even to like well below 20%. But maybe because it's such a high speed track, you get earlier tire punctures. I'm not sure. Onto the mediums we go for the final 20 laps of the race. And yeah, we should be fine tire wise until the end. But it looks like the two-stop is definitely faster around here, which is crazy because Silverstone is such a long pit lane. I think it's almost a 30-second loss because it's slow, 60 kph, and it's also a very long pit lane. So we got second actually on the pit stop there, you can see. But we've lost a lot of time here with Lewis, of course. I think around 10 seconds with that puncture, so that's not ideal. But we have to get on with it. Tires have to get up to temperature first, of course, and then we can start pushing properly. Most people still have to make a pit stop because, as I said, all those people who start on the softs and mediums were basically doing two stops. I think the entire grid is doing two stops apart from us, so yeah. Now we've got Bottas ahead. Was an old medium, so there's going to be an easy pass for George, and that is George back up to P13. And as you can see there,
There's been a crash.
a little crash from Logan in the Williams. And he does a quick little spin a lap. And is he going to hit the wall? He did hit the wall. So maybe a safety car? Maybe not. No safety car. So on we go, as he's actually not out of the race. So probably why there's no safety car. And a lot of people boxing for their final time. Ocon has come out ahead of us. And that's obviously because he overtook us when Lewis had a puncture. He's gone on to softs though, so that's going to be interesting. Might have a lot of pace now, but 17 laps on softs might be a bit of a stretch. I'm not sure. We have to wait and see. And we somehow have to make up that time to him. We're not pushing on the tires at the moment, even though we could, because the track temp is only 45. And yeah, you can push the tires a lot harder when it's colder. So in some way you might have to strategize it in such a way as Guan Yu Zhou has gone for a little Spinalla. I'm not sure how he's pulled that one off, but it's a quick little 360 and on he goes. But it could be very smart to play it strategically, where if the track temp drops, you're going to be pushing, and then when it gets hotter, you're saving tires, and that way you might gain more pace and still, you know, keep the same tire wear levels. So that might be a way to play it and gain time to your opponents. And that's maybe why we lost so much time at the start, because we should have maybe gone soft, saved them, and then once it cooled down, pushed them again. Again, we only got a limited amount of time playing this game, so I had to make sure I had to get on with it, and I couldn't think everything through well enough to think about that stuff. Stroll on new softs ahead of us. He's gonna be flying because the Aston is fast. As Alonso is in P2, of course. Now, I don't remember exactly of the top 4 who has made what pit stops, but yeah, most of them are on 2 stops. So I think you can see there actually Alonso is boxing now. I think Perez still has to box as well. And but yeah, even though softs on 30% seem to be faster in the beginning than the hards when they were like 70%. So we definitely got the wrong strategy, but it is what it is. Now, lap 46, we're behind Pedro Garceso, who is in P7. And we got Charles right behind us, 110 behind us. He had crazy race pace because he was quite far behind Russell, like 10 laps ago, if I remember correctly. And somehow ended up all the way behind Lewis. So that Ferrari is cooking on race pace here around Silverstone. And we need to go for a move on Gasly soon, because otherwise we will get overtaken by Charles. So You can see we're pushing on the tires with George because he's a little bit in no man's land, and I just want to close the gap to the cars ahead as Pierre is slowing down on the apex a little bit there, but we are losing quite a bit of time to the front runners. And I was thinking, because Ocon is on softs, maybe we could gain a lot of time late on if his tires fall off the cliff. But here's Heusinkveld actually having an absolute massive lockup.
Now they did leave it very late.
And yeah, his tires are gonna be flat basically. Now we're gonna go for a move here on Pedro, Pierre up to P7. I reckon Leclerc is gonna get past as well, as we're gonna have to stop pushing soon with Russell, otherwise he's gonna be overheating for sure. You can see he's dangling just under that 130 degrees where it will start overheating. But we got enough tire life left on those mediums. I think if the track rubber increases, your tire wear goes down maybe as well. So again, that could influence strategy, because our tires were completely done after 30 laps on the hards. And now we've done almost 20 on mediums, and they're only 62%. So that could have an important role in tire wear. I'm not sure. Again, we will probably find that out once we go through our own career mode, once the game is out, of course. And now we need to make sure that we don't lose out to Charles in these last few laps of the race. So he's gonna pass us soon, but honestly that is fine. We've gained a lot of time to Ocon though. Leclerc's on mediums as well actually, so he just has superior race pace as we get blocked by a lapped car. And now we are dropping out of DRS, so that is just brilliant. But yeah, Ocon has been dropping a lot of time, even though he's 10 seconds ahead with 3.5 laps to go. So I assume we're not catching him, unless he gets a puncture. But you never know. I don't know how much pace you drop with worn tires, of course. And now we need to make sure to get into the DRS of Charles first again. So I'm using a bit of my battery here. But on the detection, he was 4,000 out of our DRS range. So we didn't get DRS. Not ideal. We have to get on with it. I need to get back into the DRS. So I'm pushing tires and ERS a little bit there. Also on the fuel. No lift and coast whatsoever. I haven't really looked into the brake temps this race. Could also be the reason why we drop time at the first few laps. Of course, your brake temps go up at the start of the race because your car is much heavier, braking distance is longer, probably more traffic, so less clean air. And now we, yeah, we've got 3 laps to go. I think so. We're just saving our battery a little bit. We have to cool our tires down because they're overheating. So saving battery now, and then probably cool our tires in the second last lap, and then in the last lap we can go full banana, full power, and make sure that we are ready for one final lap push. You can see I've put it to light, and might even put it to conserve to make sure our tires cool down in time for the last lap, because there's a little bit of delay, you know. You stop pushing and it really takes like half a lap to almost a lap before the tires start cooling down properly. You can see we put it after cops to light, and we are now a big fat half a lap later, and we've only lost 2 degrees of tire temp. We're gonna get DRS here. However, we're almost out, so I had to put it back to standard to make sure that we're staying in the DRS. And it looks like we're doing well. We got a lot of battery. Might have to put it back to light again just to drop us a few more degrees of tire temp. However, the track temp has gone up again. You can see it's 52.5 degrees now, so it has gone up again. I think you can see this if your weather report has a high level, so on the development of the facilities. If you upgrade that, I think you can see the track temp prediction better. So you can play your strategy a little bit there, as there's another puncture. And we have been completely blocked by this. And this cost us 3 seconds. So, this is the last lap. Perez has won the race. And now there's not enough time to catch back up. So, all our preparation was for nothing. And now we're only going to finish P8. And you can see Leclerc only finished, or is going to finish 2.5 seconds behind Ocon. So Ocon, his tires really dropped in the last lap, but it's a bit annoying. We got blocked right there. Because I reckon, you know, we gained another 1.5 seconds to Leclerc, even though we got blocked. We could have maybe closed into Ocon. But yeah, this is a bit frustrating that we got blocked by a car with a puncture. But yeah, it is what it is. You can see that top 10 fastest pit stops. We got P3 there with George and P8 with Hamilton. So good points for the pit stop championship. And Mick, of course, didn't drive any laps there. So no driver bonuses. Didn't do well enough. We got 5 mil in the back there. And as you can see there, CFD simulator upgraded. Now, of course, this is not going to have any effect on us. Helipad upgrades. Bono has leveled up. Again, this has no effect for us because this was the only race we could do. So, hope you guys enjoyed our first F1 Manager video. This is, of course, not our actual career mode that we're going to be starting when the game comes out. You can see there, actually, the side pod wear. And this is why we might have been a bit slow in the race. Because some of the aero components were pretty worn out and you need to replace them. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting strategically part of F1 Manager 23. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe for more F1 Manager content, more content in general. And see you guys next time. Ciao.